We'll bring our meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We call a roll, Nancy?
Mrs. Boyce. Here. Mrs. Hunter. Mrs. Giro. Mr. Harriman.
Here.
Mrs. Barak. Mr. Malat.
Here.
Mr. Mullaney.
Here.
Mr. Marin.
Here.
Mr. McCabe.
Here.
Mr. Murdoch.
Here.
Mrs. Saunders. Mrs. Saunders. All right.
Stacey.
Mrs. Sears.
I'm here. I may not be here, but I'm here.
Mr. Spilling. Mr. St. Pierre.
Here.
Ms. Watton.
Here.
We have 10 board members present.
All right. Maybe here.
Sure. So our BOCES board, Champlain Valley Educational Services Board, is made up of 15 representative board members. This evening at this time, we have 10 who are able to be here, and we do have 16 component districts. So as you all know, and to our students who are here and staff, our board members come from our component districts and represent their districts, but they also work and represent all of our students across the entire BOCES. Our supervisory district, the BOCES, is made up of approximately 14,000 students and almost 3,200 staff members. So it's a very large geographic area, and all of our students have in common that they come to Champlain Valley Educational Services or are supported by us as part of our BOCES. So it is our privilege to work with a very dedicated and distinguished board who in many cases, in most cases, have come through their ranks and served on their own component boards of education, but also served as a member of our BOCES board. And so as part of our privilege, so Mr. St. Pierre and I, as the board president, on behalf of the board, would like to take a moment and recognize our board members who are going to be concluding their terms of service. The first board member that we'd like to acknowledge is Mr. Doug Spilling, who's just acknowledged, who's not here this evening, but who has served from the Boquet Valley School District, and he is concluding his term after 3 years.
Yeah, we'll make sure he gets this.
So we're very appreciative of his service and his 3 years of service. And secondly, and for our in-person attendee, it's our honor and privilege. So Mr. St. Pierre, if you can join, in scanning, we'd like to recognize Mr. Richard Mullaney, who has been a CVES Board of Cooperative Educational Services board member, coming from the Putnam School District for the past 26 years. So more than 2 decades, more than a quarter century. Mr. Mullaney, you've been a distinguished board member. You've served with dedication. You've represented your students, but also thought about all the students and all the entire BOCES for more than a quarter of a century. And Mr. St. Pierre, I'll let you say a few words as well.
Well, I have the pleasure of coming to the meeting and having Mr. Mullaney ride with us in the last several years. And we had some very interesting conversations on the history of Ticonderoga and in Crown Point, of course, where I'm from, because he's been around a while and he's seen a lot of things. So, and we have discussions about other boards he's been on. He's a pretty active fella, and we appreciate what he's done for us because he's been here and showing up and getting the job done. So, Mr. Mullaney, thank you for your service, and we wish you well as you go down the road. And
Do I have to stand up?
no, you don't have to stand up. We will.
Listen, I was told Mitch heard this story on the way up, but I will tell it again for y'all. My first meeting that I attended as a board member here was up at the corner of Military Road, where we used to have our board meetings up there in the boardroom. Jim Briglin, first of all, I got my appointment by the flip of a coin, because when I retired, a person from the Putnam School District, board came to me and said, would you be interested in representing Putnam on the BOCES board? I said, I guess, whatever, I think about it. I was a big BOCES promoter because of my past experience. You're taking adult education programs, okay, through the BOCES program. They called me and said, you didn't win, but it was a tie. I said, well, hey, can't do much better than that. And they called me back and said, we flipped a coin and you won. And I said, you sure I won? What did I win? So I've been here, 26 years?
Yeah, that's what you
26
want.
years.
Putnam has been very good to me as far as nominating me each time. I was a proud representative of the Putnam School District. As you know, you've been there at that school. I live right next door to that school, literally. My father-in-law, who I never knew, who I never met, deeded 1 acre of his farm to build a central school in Putnam in 1928. My house that I live in now is on that piece of property that was only separated by 1 5-acre lot, which I am proud to say now belongs to the Putnam School District. So that they can have the soccer field that they wanted without encroaching on me. I am able now, I've been retired for, so to speak. I can sit on my front porch and hear those kids. Because the recreation area is right over there.
Yeah.
And I go out in the morning with my coffee and
Yeah.
hey, I listen to them, and I've been listening to them. Some of those kids I heard are now successful people, welders, they're successful auto mechanics, they're successful small engine repair people. And that school only goes up to the 6th grade. I like to think that I had something to do with, because we tuition our kids to Ticonderoga. And when they get into that mishmash, nobody from Thai is here that represents Thai school.
Oh, Miss Watton is.
This is okay.
Yeah.
Be careful what you say.
Once I get in that mishmash up there, I don't know what happens to them. A lot of them do go into the BOCES program, and I think by starting them early, talking to them at an early age, that I hope that I've steered a few of them, or not me, but the school district has steered a few of them in the right direction. I appreciate, I guess, all the effort you folks or whatever put into take and whatnot, but I'm not sure how deserving I am of it, but.
Well, I think what you're saying is how I feel. It's, we don't get paid, but our reward is to see the kids that come out of the programs and how well they're doing.
Exactly.
And that's why we're all here
That's
for that.
exactly. I can remember my first day on the job. I'll get back to that. I digress. I went back to that. Jim Briglin said, you have to go through an orientation program as a new board member. Come up ahead of the first meeting, your first meeting. I want you to come up here ahead. And I'm going to take you through the school up above the main campus. So we went through, I came early. I went through, I parked across the road there from the main thing. And I went in and I went through the school and I went through they were particularly proud of the special ed program. They showed us the padded room that no longer exists, I guess, and some other things. And I had some time before the meeting, okay? So I wandered, and I told Mitch this, I wandered out of the school, wandered across the road, got in my car and thought, now, I gotta go do something before the meeting starts. And the first thing I did, I turned the wrong way and I got a ticket for turning the wrong way into the bus zone. Some little kid about this high, who was dressed up with a bandolier, and I thought, okay. He said, you have turned the wrong way, and didn't you see the thing? And I said, whoa, no, I didn't know, okay. He wrote me a ticket, a citation. And so I said, oh, how do I get out of this? So I went to see Jim Briglin, and he said, Dad, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. Wow, they really treat their volunteers over it. That's just one, I could tell you for, we'll be here all night.
Well, thanks for sharing that story, and if you come up with some more, let us know.
Thank you. And so we do have a cake as well. So after our Skills USA presentation, we'll take a break and we'll, be happy to share the cake. So maybe even our students and our guests get the cake too. Thank you.
I would be more than happy to share.
Okay. So move on to the Skills USA presentation.
Yes. So President St. Pierre and the board and guests, this evening we're thrilled for our Skills USA presentation. And we have two Skills USA winners with us who are state champions. So Mrs. Friedman, would you please join me and help do the introduction? So I want to introduce our very proud CV Tech director, our Mrs. Michelle Friedman, our director of career and technical education.
Sure.
Mrs.
Hi,
Friedman.
everyone. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to celebrate the talent of our North Country students. Joining us tonight are our co-lead advisors, Mrs. Nicole Santinello and Mrs. Jackie Dashna, as well as our advisor, Mrs. Maria Spadafora. We are so excited to share with you two of the exceptional, talented young women and their stories about how they wound up in a program at CV Tech and how that opportunity to be a student at CV Tech led them to Skills USA, which is a student leadership organization recognized internationally. Nationally, there are over 300,000 trade, technical, and health career students involved in Skills USA activities across the country. Once a year, they convene on a central location. This year it will be in Atlanta, Georgia, to celebrate those talents through competitions and leadership activities. One student will be named the USA champion, and a small team of USA champions will represent the United States of America at the international competitions, which happen every 2 years. So when you think about our region and you think about our Essex and Clinton County schools, as we mentioned in a previous discussion not too long ago, it is such a beautiful location, and most of the accolades that we receive as North Country residents is that we're nestled in the beautiful Adirondack Mountains along the shores of Lake Champlain. We've hosted 2 Olympics in our region, and it's a wonderful way to be noticed. What's happening now, and the shift is happening, and it's happening swiftly, is we are being recognized as a region with incredible talent. Talent that is not just regional talent, but talent that can stand up against the best of the best in the nation and the best in the world. So it is my privilege to introduce to you our Skills USA advisors, who will then share with you the beautiful students that we have with us live and online. Shelby, thank you for downloading the app and doing whatever you needed to do to get on with us. So please, Mrs. Santinello and Mrs. Dashna, Mrs. Spadafora.
Clean up now? Yep, okay. I believe so. Where are we going? I go in the front. All right, we're going in the front. This is my one let You can lead our way.
She doesn't get that.
Okay, so we would first like to introduce Amara Corrigan. She is in the Early Childhood Development Program, and she is from Peru Central School, and we will let her tell her story. So yeah, my name is Amara Corrigan. I'm a first year in early childhood education here at Plattsburgh. And basically the reason why I chose my program is I love working with children. I love learning things all the way down to how children act, why they act, and all the way to see developmental goals like holding a pencil and talking with their friends. The reason why I chose to do Skillsusa is because I love a program almost that recognizes kids in a CTE technical based school. Something that is, what's the word? Almost recognizable, as well as amazing opportunities. The opportunities that I've got from Skills, I don't think I would have got at my home school, so it's pretty good. So basically in my job demo, that's my competition, it's called Job Demo A, I had to do a demonstration of infant CPR. So basically, you have to do something in your trade. So my trade is early childhood education, so infant CPR. That's one of the first things we learn in when we get into the fall. Whoa. So basically what I had to do is I had to create a speech that was 5 to 7 minutes long. Then I had to actually demo infant CPR, which is kind of strenuous sometimes, but you know, you get through it. And then basically you do that in front of 2 judges at first, and they're like right here, and you're like, ooh, that's kind of scary. They're like right in front of you. If you mess up, they're gonna see everything. They're like, we're not done. So if you get in the finals, so those are the top 6 winners, they're like, okay, you actually have to compete again before we can declare a winner. So you have to do that all over again with 6 judges that are also right there, and they're like, yeah, you got this. And some of them are just like this. So you're like, this is kind of intimidating. So you go through it and you're just like, okay, hope this works. And you're just sitting there and you're like, wow, that's a lot better. It's okay. So after that, basically, you know, you just wait around, wait for everything to happen. Yeah, I think my years of performing in front of people really helped because, you know, talking in front of people is just like, you know, one thing for me, talking to people. So yeah, what else? I'm trying to think of the list in my head. Yeah, I have a nice list. How was winning? That was, well, as you can see by the picture all the way over there, I was crying my eyes out. I did not think I was gonna win. You know, you see everyone there and they have like these big extravagant boards and they have all this equipment that's like thousands of dollars, and you have this little infant CPR mannequin and you're like, okay, we got this. So basically they just call you down, they're like, hey, so you're waiting for your name, and they don't go in order at all. They're just like all over the place. Like this one over here that's on alphabetical order, Z, and then you're like over here with A, and you're like, I just want to know. Can we know now? So then basically they go slow and slow and slow, and then you're like, oh, I won. I won. I won? I won? Oh, that's great. And then you start crying. Then you have to go up there and they're yelling at you, make sure you get your Lowe's gift card. It's very fun. Yeah. And for Georgia, I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of people. And they're very strict, so you're like, okay, I gotta make sure everything's perfect. But at the same time, I'm excited. I like to win. I like to make sure that people know who we are and where we come from. Because I'm not just representing myself at this point, I'm representing everyone in the North Country. So.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Sure.
Yeah.
So what, besides the stress of people looking at you and judging you and people you didn't know, what was the most difficult part in your opinion of the skills part?
Skills. I'm actually like doing my like.
Doing your thing. What was the most difficult?
I think the hardest part is just making sure that I say everything correctly, because you are being like judged on if it's correct. You don't want to give someone bad information for infant CPR. That's like a life-saving skill, you know? Yeah.
Now I will introduce Shelby Rice. She's from the Screw Lake Central School and she's in our Allied Health program and she competed in nurse assisting.
Okay, hi. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. So like Miss Santinello said, my name is Shelby Rice. I go to Screen Lake Central School, and I'm a second year in the Allied Health program at CVTech Mineville. If I'm being honest, I didn't know that Allied Health is what I wanted to do at first. I first started in the automotive program, and I was there for about 4 weeks until I was like, this isn't really what I want to do. So I talked to my mom and my grandma, and they both were in the healthcare. So I decided I'd try it, and it was like a good idea to do because I fell in love with it almost immediately. I started Skillsusa last year in my junior year, and we had to compete virtual, which kind of sucked, but it was a good learning experience, and it taught me that I need to study a lot for things if I want to win. And then this year, I automatically knew that I wanted to compete because I had a great time last year, even though it wasn't in person. And I started studying all the time. Almost every study hall, whenever I had a free period, I was studying. It kind of felt like I didn't have a life sometimes, but it paid off in the end. I studied super hard up until states, and then my competition time came. First, I had to do a written test asking questions about just general knowledge and safety in a nursing home, and then just general knowledge that a nurse aide should know. And then everyone in the state also had to take a professional development test asking questions about Skillsusa. And then came the skills part, which was the one I was most nervous about because it's the easiest to mess up. So all of the nurse assisting and CPR first aid students sat in the same waiting room, and they called us back one by one according to your contestant number. And my contestant number was the very last one for nurse assisting. So it was kind of stressful seeing people walk in and out doing their competitions. But when I finally got called back, first I had to identify anatomy, so like bones and internal organs. And then I had to identify nurse aid supplies, so like a gait belt to help someone walk. And then my other skills were transfer to a wheelchair and emptying urinary drainage bag. They judge you on how well you do your skill, and then they judge you on how you act with the patient. So if you're making sure they're comfortable, if you're making sure all their needs are met, and if you're doing everything in an efficient manner. And then my last skill was CPR. So after all of the first aid and CPR kids finished their tests, they took all of the nurse assisting competitors and went over into the first aid CPR room. So the CPR judges judged us, and we just had to do 2 rounds of CPR. After that, I was just waiting for a long time, and the nerves really sunk in when they finally got to nurse assisting. Like Amara said, it wasn't in alphabetical order, so it was like really stressful just sitting there and waiting the whole time. And they called third, and it wasn't my name, so I was like kind of relieved because I didn't get third, but I was also kind of more stressed because I still didn't get third. And then they called second, and it still wasn't my name. So this is where I really started getting stressed because it's either I won or I didn't place at all. And then they called first, and it was my name, and I was like almost frozen for a second. And then my friend had to like push me out of my seat to go up to the stage. It was a crazy moment because it showed me that all of my hard work paid off, and it felt really good. And it also felt really good to know that I was able to make my teacher proud. For Atlanta, I am super excited. I think excited is kind of an understatement, honestly. You get to compete against the best from each state, which is crazy to me. And then you get to meet all of these people, which can help you make new friends. And then I also just get to get out of New York for a little bit. I don't travel a lot, so this is going to be new to me. And I'm just really excited, and I can't wait.
I think it's awesome.
I would like to mention that it's never happened in our organization's history that we have had a gold medalist represent New York State from both the CVTech Mineville Center and the CVTech Plattsburgh Center at the same time.
Wow.
So this is exceptional, and we have never, ever had a first year student be a state champion going on to the nationals. There is just so many firsts, as you can tell by their poise and their articulation. just how extraordinary these young women are, guided by other extraordinary women. And Shelby told you her story. What she didn't share with you was Atlanta, Georgia is the last week of June. What else happens the last week of June? So Shelby has decided to represent New York at the Nationals and not participate in her Scroon Lake graduation. And that to me is just a remarkable reflection of her dedication to the field and Mrs. Spadafora, the work that you've inspired her to carry on. So, and for all the work of giving the students the nudge. That's, the red jackets don't go on easily. They have to be inspired and nudged, because they know once they get that jacket on and have that experience, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of convincing and a lot of behind the scenes, and they'll be accompanying them in Atlanta, and we really can't wait to share their experience as they move forward.
10 days, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Amara, 10 days, 10 days from today.
And it's so nice to have Amara, to have your mom here, to be here with you for tonight's presentation. Did anyone have any other questions or comments?
Please, I love questions.
What are you gonna do with all the money you're gonna get?
Not in college.
I was wondering if Shelby petitioned to get graduation moved.
Yeah.
Shelby will be going to college. She's going to North Country Community College for radiology tech.
Well, thank you both.
Yes, thank you.
Exceptional job.
And I would just like to acknowledge too, for both Amara and Shelby, if not only are you representing CV Tech and our BOCES, but you're representing your home school districts, the North Country, but also the entire state. And the skills that you demonstrated as taught by our outstanding teachers are amazing skills that can actually save lives. So that's, for me, that's not only have you learned it very well, but you've absorbed, the knowledge and skills from your teachers, and you've been able to now apply them. And that's one of the most exciting things about attending a CV Tech, a BOCES, is that it's hands-on, it's applied, but it also is real world.
Yeah, I love going to CV Tech. That's like my favorite thing.
And this is so exciting and it's thrilling, but to think that you can save a life with the knowledge that you have, that's worth every state championship medal if you can help someone's life be saved and make a difference in their lives and for the future. So on behalf of the BOCES, our board, we're thrilled, and we wish Shelby, you and Amara both congratulations, and we wish you the best. We know you're going to represent us fantastically well.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Shelby, thank you. Amara, thank you. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I did.
Second. I thought you were giving them cake though.
They can have cake, absolutely. There's so much of it.
Yeah.
Forgot about this. Let's postpone that. for a
Hold
minute.
that before they.
We can put the cake in the lobby if you'd like, and then the board members could grab some and come back to
Sure.
the executive, and then they can grab some.
That would be great.
Good idea.
Good idea.
Sure, President St. Pierre, for the reasons for executive session, we can just hold it until the time that we actually start. Mrs. Avenue does that. First of all, number one, a matter which will imperil public safety if disclosed. And number four, a matter regarding proposed pending or current litigation. Number five, pursuant to collective negotiations in the civil service law with recommendations for MOAs, memorandum of agreement, as well as negotiation agreements. And matter of financial credit or employment history of particular persons, there are hiring recommendations, there are disciplinary items to discuss. and a matter related to a specific business student in the district.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So we want, what we do?
So we'll pause.
Yes, Plattsburgh
Stafford.
Yeah.
Stafford.
and in the ice rink, yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
There, yes. You will be there? I sure do.
So we have a video conference.
Yes. No, the first item is the introduction of all members, then the video conference, open meetings law.
Okay, so we're gonna continue on here with the Lori, but we're gonna do introductions real quick here. We start with Michelle over here.
Michelle Reardon, CVES.
Eric Bell, CVES.
Amy Campbell, CVES.
There. Wants to go first?
I'll go first. Tanya Robinson, Mayor, CVES.
Kim Mayer, Plattsburgh campus teacher.
Jen Haley, CVES. Betsy Laundry, CVES.
Bridget Phillips, CVES.
Okay, thank you for that. Opinions and concerns from the audience, anybody have? Yep, there's the one right there. Yeah.
It's quick.
All right. But tonight, that's appreciated.
Yep. Got you there. Good evening. There seems to be some speculation and perhaps even confusion regarding why staff have begun to attend board meetings in greater numbers. I would like to share why I have been attending and why I believe I can speak for several, if not for everyone who's here tonight. We are here to be present so that our board can put faces to the recent survey results and the people directly working with our students. You see, those results don't surprise many of us, and I am proud that so many of my colleagues voice their concerns, even though they often feel unheard and fear retaliation. You see, that's where we are, desperate for change regardless of consequences. We understand no one has control over many factors that affect our working conditions. However, there are factors we can control. Some of those factors include creating a positive culture, acknowledging our opinions and expertise, valuing our impact and work we do daily, treating us with respect, trusting us to be the professionals that we are. It scares me for the future of our students and programs that so many staff in a variety of roles are choosing to leave. This isn't about money, it's much bigger than that. I hope the district will invest the time and resources to dig deep to identify those reasons.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay, so we'll move on to the public hearing on board video conference policy.
Okay.
The one Alex had was at 9 a.m. this morning. Was that your latest one?
Should be in our DS pubs folder under the board here, in the board meeting.
Alex does not have access to that. Or does he? Give me 1 minute.
Pardon? You want to give me the right to show the meeting or show?
That I can do.
Because it's in the board's DS Pubs folder,
We all have hard copies too.
and you all have hard copies. And so
There's hard copies.
you have that?
Okay.
Okay. So. Give me 1 minute for that. So I will be very brief with the presentation, and I will just speak momentarily. It's our open meetings law PowerPoint. Give me 1 second. So I will be very brief again. As the district superintendent, I'll be very brief in my presentation, and I will present from my chair just because I can manage the laptop as well. We do have a public hearing this evening regarding the new open meetings law and the policy which the board has. I will be very brief in saying that our open meetings law, the Committee for Open Government in New York State, does outline the specifics of allowing public access in governmental meetings. There is a law. We will make this available on our website and also available to our component districts and our staff. It does allow, and it does outline in the open meetings law that public bodies and that governmental agencies have a right to conduct their business in public, and they have an obligation to do so. There is information that does say that the boards of education, as well as our BOCES boards, are considered to be the public meetings, and a meeting is an official convening of a board to conduct public business. Anytime a quorum is meeting in public, they must follow the open meetings law. There are also, that would include workshops, work sessions, and agenda sessions. So just very briefly, it's been in place for a number of years, quite a few years actually. However, for board members, if you happen to run into each other at social gatherings or sporting events, that chance meetings don't count. So with that said, I'll just share with you that there was recent changes to the open meetings law. The governor, with the passage of the New York State budget in April, did update the video conferencing policy for open meetings law. I will share with you that was approved with the New York State budget, and it does apply to boards of education and BOCES boards. And that new law has gone into effect and will become active on June 15th of this year. The legislation, when it was passed, did say that would become effective after June 8th, but I'll explain to you why that's happening. But I will share with you the sunset time for this law is July 1st, 2024. With that said, make sure I'm right. Okay, there we go. All right, so overview of the changes. On April 9th, the governor signed the legislation. Again, it is in effect until July 1st, 2024. On the PowerPoint, it does share OML, that's the open meetings law. With that being said, it applies. Initially, the legislation said it would go into effect after June 8th. That is tonight. But tonight, that it would have been in effect for tomorrow. However, because of the way that the law fell, the governor's executive authority was extended from May 15th until June 14th. There was an executive order that continued. As a result, the June 8th deadline was pushed to June 14th. So the new legislation for the open meetings law goes into effect on the 15th of June this year. And under that, and the main piece about this information is that under the new open meetings law, we have for the last year, almost 2 years, year and a half to 2 years, allowed meetings to be hybrid or virtual. and board members could join from home. They could also have, we could also have the public join from home. That is now changing, and it's not reverting back to the old policy, but it's changing to say that it's moving forward. And the major part of this, the first component that's critical is that after June 14th, the board may allow video conferencing if it chooses. However, a quorum must be present in a physical location. You can't have two locations, for example, we could, or more, as long as those locations are announced. For example, we could have a two-site open meeting where we had Nineville and Plattsburgh, as long as people are notified in advance and the public could attend. Just like we had public participation this evening, the same thing could happen. If someone were traveling and we announced that site as a location, we could actually conduct that as a public meeting. With that being said, the major emphasis on the new law is that the quorum must be in person. And then there are extraordinary circumstances that allow that. With this being said, and be very brief, the board has to establish a written procedure, a board policy governing how this is going to work. The board must, at each meeting that this is put into effect, approve a resolution to allow virtual attendance. So first item, you have to have a quorum physically present at an in-person meeting. Second, if the board wishes to, you can authorize individuals to attend virtually. You don't have to, but you can. And lastly, there are examples where someone under extraordinary circumstances to be allowed to attend virtually. So it's not just, I can't make it tonight, I'm going to attend from home. There has to be some actual examples. Just to share with you what they are, and it lists, it said extraordinary circumstances may include, but aren't limited to, a disability, illness, caregiving responsibilities, or any other significant or unexpected factor which precludes members from physically attending a meeting. If the board does allow that individual, that board member to attend virtually, that can happen, and you don't have to provide public notice about your address. But if you do attend virtually, the board needs to have approve the resolution each meeting, and then allow that individual to attend. That individual does not count towards a quorum.
But they can vote.
But they can still vote.
Okay.
And the other point that's also important is that in order for a board member to attend and have their vote count, they must be heard, seen, and identified while the meeting is in place. So to our virtual board members, you have to have your cameras on and be able to participate. So with that being said, it's fairly straightforward, but the major emphasis is you must have a quorum in person, and then the board can authorize people to attend virtually.
So if a board member calls you and says, I got a really bad cold today, I don't want to be treating everybody with cold, can I do it at home? If you have a quorum.
Yes.
Does that count?
And that would count. Mrs. Rabideau, that would be allowable.
We would do our best to notify the public of the virtual or the WebEx platform. We would just put it on our website. So if we don't normally you have to give 72-hour notice, but in that instance, we wouldn't have that option. So we would just put it on our
And at the
website.
beginning of the meeting, we would have to approve of that.
We're doing that tonight. We're doing the
Oh.
resolution tonight and we're doing the second reading
Oh,
and
you don't have to
adopting the policy.
approve it every time that there's a meeting.
I
Okay.
don't believe so. I think
Okay,
it's
that's,
just a one-time.
we'll verify that, so just
Okay.
to say, but
Yeah.
I've had some other information, but the board does have to have that resolution.
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
So with that being said, the board must have, the meeting minutes must show that board members were participating remotely. The board information, the public information must allow the public to know that video conferencing may be used. And there must be a notice as to where those meeting records will be made available. You'll notice the last item is the virtual board meeting must be recorded. The recording must be posted on our district website, on our BOCES website within 5 days. And those recordings and minutes must be, the recordings especially must be available for up to 5 years. Okay, and then the board shall allow the public to attend the meetings and participate in real time where there's participation allowed. It's allowing the individuals who are attending virtually to have the same public participation rate that they would if they were in person. A board who utilizes this video conferencing approach must maintain an official website, which we have. And lastly, if the board is utilizing video conferencing, they have to make sure that they meet all of the terms of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. I know Ms. Robinson, you work with OPWDD extensively, but it will be important that we meet all of those criteria as well. That's the major part of the presentation, but the major emphasis is that we must have an in-person, the board must have a policy, it must be approved to allow it, and then the quorum must be in person. Yes. Okay, so any questions at all? I will make this available not only to the board, but also to our staff, so that they understand, and I'll be sharing this with our superintendents, because I tried to make it much more viewable and understandable for the school district.
We may have more questions another day, but for now, we'll go with that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, Mr. Bell, am I going to give this back?
I got the rest.
Are you gonna take it back now?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you to the board for that as well. So, President St. Pierre, the next item on the agenda is our strategic plan end of year update.
Okay. Yeah, let's get that done. Feel free to skip over the less important part if you find it. It's all important, I shouldn't say that.
So we will start off and so given the lateness of our meeting already, we will be brief. The board has had this in advance, but we do want to at least acknowledge all of the hard work which went into our work, our strategic plan this year, but as well as the very extensive PowerPoint, all the work, not only by our administrative team, but also our district planning team members as well. So we'll share with you just as a reminder, great picture from this year. We just had our Skills USA. We see our two center winners, our state winners. That was at Skills USA with our staff and students who were medaling. So that's a great picture and a great theme. Again, with our theme of discover, connect, and rise. With that said, the presentation overview, you can see that in place. Not only the overview, but also at the end, we have our divisional highlights. We have scenes from CVES. We have calendar updates, and then the divisional goals and plans. We want to acknowledge and thank the members of our district planning team. Mr. Harriman, yourself, and Mr. Saunders have been members of our district planning team for many years. We had component districts. We also have members of our professional staff, our family of professionals, as well as our administrative team leaders, the divisional leaders, assistant superintendents. But again, a very successful district planning team, and many of our members. I know, for example, Ms. Mayor, you've been on it from the beginning and as you're concluding your career. So we're very thankful for all of our staff members and all of our administrators and all attendees, including component superintendents, who were part of this conversation and all the work. The divisional teams as well. Not only was there extensive team work by the district planning team, and a lot of discussions and planning and meetings, but also the divisional committees all rose to the level despite a pandemic that was ongoing. We worked with John Brady throughout the process, and again had an outstanding divisional team work as well with our team members at each of the divisions, and I think you'll be pleased with the summary that's been provided, but also the work that occurred. With that said, I'll share with you that this year we all know, and we've been faced, that this was our third school year combating a pandemic. In many cases this year, even though we're in person, seemed to almost be more challenging than last year was when we actually had adjusted schedules and we had greater time off, or at least remote sessions and so on and so forth. But I will share with you, not only did we, as you look at the challenges of the pandemic throughout the year, we've become much more accustomed to it, but we also worked very diligently with our team. Everyone working with our health staff, with our office staff to really follow through, and initially with contact tracing and so on and so forth, but also to notify all the families and individuals affected and to move forward while we kept ourselves in person. I'll share with you that I believe, and our team believes, that not only despite the pandemic, we continue to offer our programs at a high level. We continued collaborating at the highest levels. We instituted a COVID testing program that was extensive and very thorough, and actually very amazing to think that we were able to have a CVES testing team and staff that tested all the students and staff within Clinton County and working very closely with Essex County. To think of what was accomplished, it's actually breathtaking. And it was amazing to see how everyone pulled together. It wasn't easy. There were frustrations that we acknowledged, but we did work together to accomplish it. And our hat goes off to all of our staff and leaders who helped make that happen. That included a drive-up testing site. It included at-home COVID tests. We just got our 16th shipment of tests this week. And we helped distribute all those tests to all of our component districts. You'll recall on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we had tests being delivered and picked up by our superintendents and school districts. Again, facilitated by our team as well of leaders. Lastly, I'll share with you that the challenges of the academic year definitely took a toll on our staff, our administrators, and everyone. But it was also happening across our society. And we still worked hard to make it work and provide services and support at a high level. And lastly, we worked our best and managed to try to get that information out, to communicate on a regular basis and keep the staff informed. In some cases, the day after that information came out, the day the new guidance was shared, many times that information came out on a Friday afternoon and we were expected to implement it on Monday. That was just the standard, and that still has continued throughout, even at this time. And lastly, with new guidance updates and including my weekly updates as the district superintendent. I will just be very brief and share with you that, and this is a little bit of a summary to say, despite the pandemic, we still worked very diligently with our staff, with our students, and we believe performed at the highest levels. It was challenging, there was fatigue, but we also continued to provide strong levels of support to our students and each other. We continue to complete our capital project, phase 1. We continued with testing and support of our students and staff, especially when there was actually testing that was needed because we were actually using quadrant and some of our other options where we actually believe that students and staff may be infected. Lastly, we continued with our work with our Essex and Clinton County health partners, but also all the school leaders. We continued all the work across CVES with our strategic planning initiatives and our regular work, and we continue to do so at the highest levels. And lastly, I will share with you, as we know, we've appointed and hired a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. So we have continued to work at a high level and move forward with our initiatives. And I would share with you that the way I summarized it is said we were definitely influenced by the pandemic, but we weren't defined by it. So we did continue to move forward with all of our work. So I'm going to just share very briefly as a reminder, our this year's strategic plan priorities. You'll notice that we do have those outlined. We also have the bolded ones, which received extra attention. And those were helping to drive our work throughout the year, including our conversations of the board's decisions and so on and so forth. So the support, attract, develop, and retain high-quality employees. Ensure our programs and services excel while we continue to support and innovate. We also have addressed and assess the expansive social, emotional, and mental health needs of our students and staff. And lastly, build and embrace a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, our highest priority areas are outlined throughout our strategic plan, but also we continue to work at high levels regarding that. I'll share with you, when you look at our strategic plan, and we know that the board last month had extensive review with us as we looked at that. Ms. Buckett and Mrs. Campbell shared the results of our survey. There's a lot of information there. We acknowledge that. We had the highest participation rate yet. There were some areas that we want to acknowledge, including the support that our employees feel towards each other and for the support of their colleagues. Again, at 95 or 96%. However, overall, when you look at our statistical results, the board is aware that the results showed a decrease in many, many areas. So we are going to acknowledge that. We're going to indicate that we believe there's a variety of reasons, but we want to acknowledge that there's improvement needed, and we want to double down and focus on those improvement efforts. That will also result in not only our renewed focus on this and our attention, but also my listening tour that I'll be undertaking, where I can gather additional data, then bring that back, share it with the board, share it with our divisional planning teams, with our administrators and our staff, so we can then use that data to help gather authentic feedback and to move forward with an even higher level of focus and improvement. So I want to now turn it over to Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Dr. Davey. As we transition to look at each division, there's about 27 slides at the end of the presentation. That has a lot more detail. Our team here, the four of us, are going to give you really brief highlights. We're going to go through it fast. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. If you want to dive into more details, we'll be glad to do so. But in the essence of time, we will. All four of us are going to move rather quickly. First thing to highlight is our capital project. We completed 20 months of construction. On phase one, we were under budget. We'll talk in our next presentation about being $5 million under budget. That is allowing us to springboard into our phase two, which is ongoing planning is happening now. Very proud of the work that our staff did, working alongside our O&M staff, working alongside our contractors, as well as the patience showed by all of our employees here at CVES. It really took 350 employees being in unison, supporting of this, being flexible and patient. And lastly, and possibly most importantly, the involvement of our students. We had a significant amount of involvement of our students for our project, and they were lifesavers at different points in time, including cutting down trees for us, a significant amount of them. Human resources, we're in a time of really a challenging time in the labor world and the competitiveness of hiring staff, maintaining staff. This is a huge piece for us, trying to be creative, innovative in our recruitment efforts, but also trying to meet the new age of employees coming into the workforce. So digitizing our whole HR department, as well as our exit interview survey option we created to be a digital option. We just did that in the last month. We saw our numbers were down. Working with our district planning team, the recommendation came, you should try a written exit survey. So we actually have that through Microsoft Forms now. We're going to try that out, and hopefully we can get more respondents from that. Lastly, want to touch on our benefit coordination office. This is the newest branch of management services to say. January 2021, they took over. So really the last 12 months, they've been ramping up their efforts. A couple of highlights here. I want to just share some numbers. That's why I brought up my sheet. Dependent eligibility audit was completed by our benefit coordination office. 87 individuals were found on the consortium plans that should not have been on there. They illegally were on there and they got booted off. Well, 7 of the 87 were actually found to be deceased. $1.5 million in annual estimated claims savings to the consortium, $335,000 annual savings on premiums to districts. They were paying premiums, those people shouldn't have been on it, $335,000 a year. Next, it keeps going, RDS, when we look at the RDS look back, $229,000 from 2015 is flowing back to our districts because of the work of the benefit coordination office. That's estimated over a 6-year period of time because they're ongoing. They did 2015, they're going to go to 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. $1.4 million flowing back to our districts that had not happened before. Also completed a Medicare audit, $67,000 in savings to our districts as part of our consortium. So when we talk about our benefit coordination office, real savings for the taxpayers. That's what it boils down to, saving the taxpayers money. So a small investment in a benefit coordination office that never existed before January 2021, supported by our full consortium, all of the board of director members, and it's been a huge asset for the North Country. A few other things up there. Really proud of the work they've done, and I'm going to pass it over to Director Friedman.
Did you guys present that at the CSOs yet?
We have talked about each and every one of those at the board of director table. Yes.
Great.
Hi, everyone. I would also like to reiterate that there are just some highlights listed on the next 2 slides. Slides 31 through 40 outline the progress of all of the objectives and completion of the tasks that were set before the CV Tech division. through the strategic planning process. So if you had an opportunity to look at that and have any questions, I'd be more than happy to address. What I will share is that on those slides, about 96% of all of the objectives set by the team have been completed or on target to complete by the end of this school year. There are only 2 items that were delayed till the next school year. So we're very proud of the work we've done, despite all of the other challenges that we've had. So just a couple highlights from the 4 operational teams. We continue the curriculum mapping process through using the online platform of Atlas. We're continuing to develop a framework for differentiated instruction in the adult literacy world, which is typically seen in our K-12 environment, but it's also proving to be very beneficial in the work that we do at our One Work Source operation. Yes. Also, as far as multiple pathways go, we hosted 5 job fairs here in this facility over the last month, allowing our students by career cluster to connect with potential employers of careers of their choosing, and many of our graduates will be crossing the stage already employed or employed as they're moving on to post-secondary education. And finally, continuing the work that we do to create that quality learning environment, supportive learning environment, and a positive learning environment through different activities and components that we have in place for both students and staff. So that concludes our update for the year. Not sure if there's any questions at this point from our division. Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna ask questions to learn that.
Okay. Assistant Superintendent Campbell.
Thank you, everyone. As I close in on the end of my first year at CVES, I would like to share how the strategic planning process has helped me to better understand the Instructional Services Center and its vital role in the education of the North Country. At the year-end DPT meeting, where we review the accomplishments guided by the strategies and priorities of the strategic plan, I shared that ISC is a unique division responsible for 20 active COSERs, meeting the needs of CVES and component districts in varied ways to support educational programs throughout the region. Our COSERs include support for library media, print publications, multimedia communications, arts and education, musical instrument repair, data analysis, interscholastic sports, instructional technology, community schools, staff development for transportation, health safety risk management, compliance and training, clerical staff development, FM communications, grants management, substitute coordination, and school improvement through professional development for teachers and administrators. This year, one area of focus was attracting and hiring high-quality employees. This included hiring a communications and publications manager, allowing those COSERs to take on more projects, an administrator for instructional services to support data analysis for component districts and provide needed support in the rebound of workshops. We also hired 2 network and systems technicians, one who was an intern and then temp on call employee, and another who was promoted from among our computer specialists. To meet the growing need for instructional technology support, we have also hired 4 computer specialists. Instructional services has been innovative and flexible this year. We have partnered with Wishwe BOCES to develop our own model schools COSER, and we'll continue to work with them as we enter into our first year with the COSER. We have adapted to change as we moved from our home of over 30 years and became a community of professionals joining our management services colleagues. We have prioritized wellness among our staff, enabling us to continue to provide dynamic and innovative programs. While not part of our traditional role, our division was instrumental in the distribution of at-home COVID tests for the region. As of today, which has been updated because we did receive that 16th shipment, as Dr. Davey mentioned, we have distributed at 160,500 test kits. With a high quality staff, commitment to providing high quality programs and services, and being flexible during times of uncertainty and change, Instructional Services has continued to use the priorities of the strategic plan to move forward to achieve the mission and vision of CVES. Director Stockton.
Good evening, everyone. In keeping with the theme of highlighting a few areas of our strategic plan, I want to say that our divisional team has been very busy. Started out the school year being very ambitious in light of the challenges we face. And the 2 pieces I want to highlight potentially have a significant impact on our programming, our students, and the region. The first is our partnership with SUNY Plattsburgh in creating the CVES pathway. Very proud that in the fall we will have 60 sophomores from SUNY Plattsburgh's education program that will be in our building. They'll spend 2 half days with us. They will be observing our CVES specialized programming. They're going to meet with our leadership team. And the whole idea behind that is to capture the excitement, the youth, and really potential employees that want to be a part of the specialized programming that we offer. After that, we're going to hopefully continue to develop that partnership and develop a cohort model where the following school year as juniors, can we get 30, cut that number in half and have 30 of those students come back to us for a deeper dive. So when they get into their practicum and student teaching experiences, they want to do it with us because of that specialized piece that we provide that our component districts cannot. The second piece for us, which really is a game changer in terms of the regional lens that programs and services that we provide on the continuum, is that we're ahead of schedule with getting into a CVS program into one of our component districts. It's still not finalized yet, but we're hopeful that it will be, in partnering for a postgraduate program just down the road from us with the Plattsburgh City School District. We have not had a CVES classroom or program in a component district for the past 10 years, about when the recession hit 2008, 9, 2010. So we're really, really excited about that opportunity for our students and what it does for our programming. Those are the 2 biggest takeaways I want everyone to hear today. You have this information. I believe Assistant Superintendent Bell talked about at the end of this, the more detailed plans of what's in progress, what goals have been achieved. Really proud of the work of the divisional team. I just want everyone to leave or end my presentation with, we still have a lot more work to do. Our divisional team has been engaged for 3 heavy working sessions this past month. I have a few people over there that were a part of it. Deep discussions, really getting to the heart of some of the issues that we need to address as a group. We've been recruiting more participation. So whether you're on the Mineville campus, whether you're in Plattsburgh, whether you're an itinerant provider, an aide, we want you to be a part of the problem-solving process because complex problems need diverse perspectives to find the best solutions. With that,
Any questions, anybody? Questions? Down the questions. Sorry.
So, thank you. And as you've heard, a summary of our district planning team, not only accomplishments, but also the accomplishments in helping drive CVS forward and help us move forward. The work, the leadership, the participation could not have happened without the board support and also the engagement of our staff to actually implement the work. We have outlined a strategic planning calendar for next year. We will be undertaking work to identify a new strategic planner to help us facilitate so that the board and myself can also be involved in the process and not be actually leading it, which we will leave. It's important for us to be involved and supportive and actually part of the process to help us move forward and be part of that decision-making, which is what has worked well for us in the past. And we want to continue at a high level with that. We have a similar schedule that's planned. We will be undertaking an RFP working with Mr. Campbell. And we have a number of strategic planners that we are going to be reaching out to, and then we'll be bringing forward some recommendations after we interview and vet them. You'll see a similar outline to what we have planned for and what we accomplished this year with fall strategic planning meetings, divisional updates and meetings throughout the year, a mid-year update to keep us on track and attentive to our work in progress, an end of the year survey that we plan to look at in a little more depth and then analyze and see if as appropriate and if there are updates that need to be or will be recommended. And lastly, to move forward with an end of year meeting and presentations. I would like to just finally close and share a few brief comments and say we are very thankful to our entire family of professionals, as well as the board for all of the time, the support, and the effort to help us move forward with all of our initiatives. It was a trying year, however, we still continued with making forward progress. We've got a lot of room to grow, and we acknowledge that, but we also know a lot of great things happened. We supported our students and staff at high levels, and we want to make the best of those positive relationships and progress, and also to move forward. Yes, there were challenges which occurred and impacted our students and staff. We offered in-person instruction amid a pandemic. We worked together to keep health and safety as a priority. We're also very excited about the future and what it holds. Our facilities have been updated. We're moving forward in so many different areas, and we want to continue that forward progress and work with our staff, our board, our administrators to help us reach those goals and do it collaboratively, authentically, and also to move forward successfully. And we're very appreciative of the support we've received from our community, our component districts, and our colleagues. I would like to just close out with a few photos and a photo collage of some of the great and exciting events. I won't describe them, but I'll just let you also take them in. We met one of our students this evening, our Amara, who is our Skillsusa winner from Peru. Some CV Tech pictures. That was just recently, Mrs. Friedman. And there's been some outstanding, follow-up with that, really well received and just amazing from staff and students. I'll just share with you a few other pictures, some great photos, a little insight into different activities, seasons, activities and events, visitors, that's Assemblyman Jones, open houses, and so on and so forth. Some great photos, great action photos, but also highlighting a lot of the things that are happening within CVES. The authentic STEM. Mrs. Friedman, you were talking about, working not only at a high level, but working internationally and, presenting the information in Washington and with the Senate, meeting with our Congress staff and so on and so forth at the highest level. And continuing yet to provide a extremely and high, strong level of programming and support for our students. And lastly, amazing staff who work together despite all the challenges to help and support our students, and yet keep health and safety at a priority. So we are very thankful and very appreciative. And as we conclude, just remind the board and our staff and everyone that our core beliefs help drive and really facilitate our work. With our top core belief is that students are our first priority. So we thank you and appreciate your work. I also acknowledge that throughout the rest of the PowerPoint, I won't share with you, but there is the in-depth divisional updates as well, CV Tech, Instructional Services, Special Ed, and Central Administration, OMM, which actually the detailed plans and accomplishments and work are outlined and described all the way from slide 28, 29 up to slide 55. We will be making this slide deck and the PowerPoint presentation available to our staff. And the plan is that myself, Mrs. Campbell, and Mr. Bell, as well as our divisional directors, will be sharing updates for our strategic plan overview with all of our staff by the end of the year, or before the end of the year. Okay. I know there may be some questions. Mr. Marin, I know you had some questions, or other board members, whether virtual or. Sure.
So, let's see here, on the CV Tech improvement plan, there was a drop in the post-secondary enrollment. Is that mostly because of COVID?
Yeah, we didn't onboard any post-secondary students with the exception of the LPN program last year.
Okay, on page 32, there's the employee 6 months after, employee 6 months, employee 12 months. Is that 12-month an aggregate number that includes the 6 months, or are they separate?
They're 6 months and then the following 6 months.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, does the 12 months also include people that were employed in the previous 6 months as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's not like you can add them both up separately.
Mm-mm.
So, but it went down. So after 12 months, we got one less. So somebody must have quit or something like that right after. All right, so so what it shows is that everything happens in the first 6 months. And nothing really happens after the first 6 months, right? People mostly get hired in the first 6 months, and by the 12th month, it's no new hires. Is that what I'm reading?
Yes, it's a little, it's just the follow-up, it's that moment in time.
Okay.
So they have to, they're required by our data requirements to do that 6-month call and then a 12-month call.
Okay.
We don't
I'm sure there's
read
a
a
lot
lot.
more into it, right?
Yeah, it's just those moments in time, so
Okay.
I don't know that I have a better answer for you.
No, that's okay. I just trying to see what the information gives us.
Mhm.
Because right now what I'm seeing is basically that all of the work, all the effectiveness of hiring happens in the first 6 months. After the second 6 months, nothing really changes.
And these are exclusive to our SNAP and EPI folks that go through the program.
Oh.
So those data points are coming directly from our adult literacy only population. So there are all different factors that could influence that data, but it's required for the funding to get those snapshots of data at those intervals.
Okay. Yeah, I saw on special ed, there was a drop in the percent of physical restraints. Is that right? Oh, you had a note on here about COVID too.
Yeah, so basically, this data benchmark was changed, I wanna say 2 years ago. And really focusing on the students from the first quarter that have the highest frequency of physical interventions. And then those educational teams targeting interventions, so then when we get to the fourth quarter, we wanna see a significant decrease over our top 10. Well, during that first year back from during COVID, within person, we saw enrollment was low. And we saw a record low number of physical interventions. So we actually had 7 in the first quarter over 10 students. And when I say that is low, we haven't calculated numbers this year, but we're well into double digits, typically in the first quarter. So that same group of students, sometimes students will go to a more restrictive environment, or they're no longer, will be with us in the fourth quarter. Population, with that group had 8 restraints. So even, there was a 1 restraint increase, but it kind of broke the curve or our measurement tool because both were really, really low. If we go back to the previous year, what we want to see there is a high number that's in the negative. And so going back to the 2019-20 school year, our top 10 students had a really high incident count of physical interventions in the first quarter. And then we saw a very large decrease after, our highly trained and qualified staff worked with those students with targeted interventions when it came down to the fourth quarter. So in a typical year, when we do it this school year, calculate it this summer, we want to see negative double digits, with our target being negative 75%.
Okay. Looks like the last one, and I'll ask. In the spirit of growth and not pointing fingers, right? We have in the on page 29, we have some drop in these measures, right? So not to go into the whys, some of this is surprising because since I've been here, the fact that we've gone digital, we've got a lot more information going out. There's much more information out there for people to be familiar with what's going on with CVES, right? So like percent agree that CVES is good at communications. And when I first got here, we had almost no communication going out. So I'm kind of surprised to see it come down. I guess Can we get some sort of a report as to what some of this information means? Like, you kind of hinted at it earlier, right? There's some places we need to grow. Is there a mechanism for you guys to dissect the information and then come back and tell us what you found are the areas that need to help us bring these numbers up?
So one of the major areas that I would say, first of all, the survey itself delineates where people get their information from.
Right.
And I know that we've had a concerted effort to improve a variety of areas, whether it's the weekly staff updates or communication through social media or other avenues. So there is a wealth of information about where the staff gets the information from. But part of it, that's one of the goals of listening tour, is to gather more in-depth information from the staff in person about how we can make improvements. So I know that we'll be working with our divisional teams, we'll be working with our directors and our DPT to identify, with our new strategic planner, ways that we can, again, continue to focus on growth, and communication has been one of our priority areas over the years. It has, and you do reference from the data, the first year, if you said, what was our target, our first year, we had 17% of our staff said we were essentially good at it.
Right.
So we made huge improvements, but again, we've taken a drop this year. So it is definitely something that we will be continuing to work on and looking at the areas for that growth. It's also tied in with our communications division as well. And even, for example, just on a personal note, my weekly updates. One of the things over the years that folks have indicated is that they were very much more aware of things in their division, but they weren't aware of their colleagues in other divisions down the hall or across CVES. So we've tried to highlight a lot of the different activities that are happening. And I work with the communications department and our directors for those weekly updates to make sure that information is out. So we're working on it from a variety of venues. I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to share.
Great, thanks.
But we'll continue to keep that as a priority, and that's part of our planning process going forward.
Good.
Any other questions?
We'll move on to the district superintendent's update at this point.
Oh, Ms. Watton.
Yeah, I have one. Could you talk a little bit about what's happening to address the concerns that were expressed by the teachers today? That's one question, and another is, how will we participate in something that helps the board have a higher rating of engagement?
That's a good question.
Okay, so in terms of, and I'll just start off with the end and then move to the other side. One of the areas that the board has worked on over the years is, different types of engagement. We've had open houses for the last few years. At one point, we didn't have anything except virtual. There have been autism luncheons. There's been a whole variety of other days and events that the board is invited to, graduations, NTHS ceremonies, and like Ms. Watton, you've attended some recently as well. So there are a variety of opportunities during a normal school year that the board may be engaged and participate in. One of the most popular many times is our open houses. However, we've also had other opportunities where the board does meet students and does have interactions, and that would be a variety of dates and different dinners and luncheons and so on and so forth. I know, Ms. Saunders, you used to be very active, in working and visiting, and still are.
I still are. Am I not, Mr. Schlatter?
But providing the opportunity for the board to come in to, have, for example, a board visitation day, or come in and view. There are some time commitments, obviously, given the board participating in different events. Our school day is during the work day. There's also the evening events that many times the board is invited to. So there's a variety of other types of activities that the board can be involved with. But that's one of the areas that, you know, we will be working with the board, you know, and our administrative team and our staff to identify areas, perhaps to even have some days in the future where we invite our component district board members to come in. Many of them, when we've been on the visitation tour, we've extended invitations for our component districts to come in and visit. And for even our board members to come in and do an in-depth tour or to spend a day or have several opportunities where you could come in and visit classes and so on and so forth is some of the things that we've talked about.
I'd love to suggest that we, since the survey is taken by the employees there, I'd love to hear what some of their suggestions might be as to how we could be more visible, more engaged, that would be meaningful to them. I mean,
So
as you work with them on that, I would love to hear that feedback from them as to how, you know, it could be just a perception thing there. They don't realize we're there or whatever, but I'd love to hear ideas from them as to how we could be more active.
So I would encourage, if there, you know, there's interest that we sit down and have some planned opportunities where if and I'll just share with you as a component district, I had sessions where there were study sessions where the board met with staff and students and had interaction where there was actually firsthand experience, where the board could actually interact. But again, there's a time commitment for the board to participate in those types of activities too. So we want to work with the board and the staff to have those conversations and our divisional teams to provide some feedback forums as well.
When we have a board retreat this year, that might be an item for discussion that we always cover more than just one area. And that could be something that we focus on. What can we do as a board, or what should we be doing?
And I would say, what does engagement look like from the staff's perspective? It's one of the questions, because you know, what we're thinking may not be some of the opportunities for the same, but I will share with you, there is a difference. A component district where you all live within the same geographic area, the city of Plattsburgh, the Crown Point School District, there is some geographic nearness that is able to be supported. With our component district, some of our board members travel 2 hours to come to a board meeting. So there is some dynamics that we have to acknowledge, but we also want to provide those opportunities to allow board engagement and allow the participation. So that's something we do want to work on, and I think we can very definitely improve that.
So we're looking at trying to do more things without burning ourselves out, and how do we do it?
Right.
Over time, we'll have some more discussion. Okay. Anybody else? If not, I think we'll move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Superintendent's update. By us real quick.
Sure, I will be very brief. It is an acknowledge. You did see in the board training project update. Oh, pardon? Oh, the capital project update. I'm sorry.
Oh, we're gonna get more.
Mr. Bell. So we jumped over it. Sorry.
So, just wanted to touch on phase two, because we do have some resolutions on the agenda tonight, so we wanted to dive into details, give the board opportunities to ask questions if they had any. Phase two project source of funds, we mentioned 5 million under budget in phase one. Our infrastructure project and fire alarm project came in under budget. We're still wrapping up a couple of loose ends on our fire alarm project. We're estimating around 150,000. We've asked for up to $150,000 from that project. 3 years of our capital project budget allocations, we budgeted $475,000 currently each year for capital and rent. Part of our budget, we're saying to take those capital allocations for 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, put it towards phase two. And again, we're going to phrase that as up to $1.4 million. We're asking the board to approve tonight. And then also an allocation of our operations and maintenance funds. We mentioned at the last board meeting, we're having conversations with state education department. They have said, yes, you can do that. if you allocate it towards certain type of work in your project. Typically, you want to do it in a component district, not aidable. We charge our O&M off to our programs, and that becomes aidable. So it is aidable for our BOCES because we will charge it off through our program budgets. If it runs through special ed, it does not get aid on it, it falls through excess, it does not get BOCES aid on it, it falls through excess cost aid. So we're asking for up to $1 million. We don't have $1 million in O&M funds this year. We're not saying we're gonna allocate that money right now. It's gonna, again, be over that 3-year period of time. So we're asking for an up to $1 million. Hopefully we have some good years ahead, and we can fund that. These increases are on your board addendum tonight. It gives us a total project budget of $7.55 million. Just a breakdown of what that $7.55 million looks like. When we start looking at scope items, we have just over $5 million available to us. Want to dive into some scope items, looking at whole building generators. You probably remember we showed you a $20 million group of items here. We're now trying to narrow that down. Whole building generators, main campus and Mineville, replace exterior windows at the main campus. This is an important one. This is where our O&M money would point to. So that $1 million we're asking for, SCD said if you're replacing your windows in a building, that would fall under the category. So we can almost match that rate up based on our budget estimates. Replacing our storefront doors, those are the glass doors, entry, exit doors in the main campus building. Central cooling is an interesting topic. When we presented last time, we were looking at $3.4 million in Mineville, $1.8 million in WAF. Central cooling is really, really important in our special education division classroom because we do run summer school plus our student needs that have been identified. So to meet those, we've been having window units throughout our whole main campus. And in Mineville, we have it through some of it currently. There is no duct work in Mineville. So that's where that $3.4 million comes into play, is everything's got to be brand new. There's nothing there. So what we're saying here is, if our architects, and we put it on them, we pay them good money to do so. If our architects and engineers can come into more of a reasonable budget, we want to be able to perform, install central cooling in our special ed division in Mineville and the Plattsburgh main campus. Especially when you look at, if you're putting new windows in, which we did in Mineville just recently, and if we're going to do it at the main campus, we're not going to rip out a new window and put up plywood, which is currently our setup at this time. So we're putting in our architect's court to say, what can you design for us in more reasonable amounts of money? And then remove the hanger doors. So right here on the north side of this wall, there's a large hanger door here as part of this space. Very inefficient, a lot of holes in it. We're looking at removing that and putting a wall on the north side of this building. So really here, what you're hearing is large ticket items. So when we're looking at capital projects, and a $5 million capital project is probably not in our future, really a $7.5 million capital projects, not in our near future. So the big ticket items are the ones we want to take care of with this money. We can take our smaller annual allocations in the future and take care of those smaller items. Also, we talked about last time, operation and maintenance, maximizing. So flipping to the next slide, we're maximizing. We're asking the board tonight to award three bid awards. Again, maximize that operation and maintenance fund to take care of really high needs that you typically see in a capital project. We got to do them in-house. We don't have the money to do them through a capital project. We can't go back to the voters for a vote. So we're going to be strategic. We're asking for your support in that. But again, this is real time right now. This is going to continue over the next 5 years. You're going to see similar of what our O&M, funds and our staff are going to be tasked with doing. Lastly, energy performance contract. The new piece on this slide is the annual project capital budget allocation, $128,000. That's part of the lease purchase agreement of energy performance contracts. So our districts, we would have to put that into our capital budget. We'd have to come to the board and ask you next year to put into our capital budget $128,000. What that means to each district is they each get a percent based on our WADA. So our lowest is Putnam, below 0.5%. Highest is about 14.5 at Beacontown. So the range is from $400 for our lowest district. The highest district is $18,500 for that largest district. That is without talking about BOCES aid. So that's just what they would have as an expense to them. There's BOCES aid that flows with that, except for 3 of our districts get 0% aid. So Putnam, Screen Light, Keene is 0% BOCES aid on capital funds. So we want to share that with the board. Next step, we're gonna talk to the superintendents tomorrow about an EPC. We're gonna break it to them. We're gonna start talking numbers with them. All goes well, we get support from our component district superintendents. We start talking about an RFP process. We go out to an RFP, look for a vendor, see if we can come up with a scope of work, and we're gonna ask the board to support some capital funds to the tune of around $128,000 a year. Here's some of our next steps. The biggest thing is, tonight is increasing that capital project budget. That's on the agenda.
Right, and the plan as outlined there is that we target our submission to state ed for September. That'll give the board July and August to be updated and briefed, and then weigh in as needed. But again, we've whittled it down. We do have a long-term plan that we're working on, and working with our construction team to identify the highest priorities and make the most impact with the money spent, but also a long-term plan so that we have a well-articulated plan to go forward so that we can minimize, future big capital projects and then have our own punch list that we can move forward with. Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Okay, move on with it.
Sure. Thank you. So for our district superintendent's update, I'll be very brief. We do want to acknowledge and congratulate our students and our staff for all the program recognition. Before we do that, I did put on the agenda, and I did want to ask, and we'll ask for a brief moment of silence. Our nation across the U.S. involving even schools. There's been a number of recent shootings involving schools and students. And I was just going to ask the board if you would work with me for just a brief pause and a moment of silence. Okay. Yes, thank you. Just very briefly, congratulations. Again, the board did receive some transmittal updates. Jaslyn Brooks, our 45th Mayor's Cup t-shirt design winner. Our CV Tech classroom, there were 10 students who were chosen to submit t-shirt designs, and one was a winner. You saw some great pictures. Very exciting. The students did a wonderful job. The Mayor Rosenquist came in, and the Sunrise Rotary. It was just an exciting event, and they've invited our CV Tech classes to move forward again next year with that. And some of our students in that class have internships at the city of Plattsburgh, Mrs. Friedman, correct?
That is correct. It's very exciting.
It's exciting. An acknowledgement with our staff, and also even a student, and I believe that same class has a TikTok app, right? It's the same class, Mrs. Friedman?
It's a Snapchat filter.
Okay. That, go ahead, if you could just 30 seconds.
300 million downloads.
Really?
It's an astonishing number. It's the sad filter, sad face filter.
Yes.
I don't really know what that means. My daughter told me, but it's pretty amazing.
And my daughters also acknowledged that they were aware of the filter from our students, and one's in California and the other's in Albany. So with that being said, we have amazing talent, and you saw some demonstration of that tonight. We also want to congratulate Mr. Tedford, our 2022 ACTIA CT recipient of the Special Recognition Award for being an outstanding CTE educator. Congratulations, Mr. Tedford. He is retiring this year. He's concluding his service at the end of the year, and we're thrilled about that. There was a phenomenal STEM presentation. I do look forward to watching it, and I just want to acknowledge, if you looked at the paper for the weekend edition, for the Saturday and Sunday edition, the major article in the front page paper was Students Conclude STEM Engineering Program. So Mrs. Friedman, our students and staff with the pre-engineering program and the Authentic STEM project were the centerpiece of our weekend edition for the local paper.
Good job.
Yeah. So, congratulations to all of our students, and thank you.
Just a little side note with that, Schluter Systems is working right now in putting their prototype into production, so it will be part of the Schluter production line.
Awesome.
So to solve the problem.
Nice,
How cool is that?
exciting, wow, that's amazing.
I'm interested in learning exactly what they came up with and seeing.
Absolutely, they did a beautiful presentation on the Forum of Innovation when they revealed it. And I would love to be able to share it with you, but I don't think I would do it justice, but we could definitely arrange that for you.
So, just the COVID updates, again, we just had our 16th delivery. We do have almost 1,000 COVID tests in our stock warehouse right now. We'll be distributing those to our students as they're entering graduations and making them available. And then we're going to be starting with summer school. Strategic planning updates, I will also share. I am going to be undertaking a listening tour. That information and schedule will be coming out this week. And I've already scheduled some dates in Mineville, and we'll be doing the same in CV Tech, here at Instructional Services and Special Ed. So there'll be a lot of information gathering to help with our board's questions, but also to gather information, which will then, the board will get the information as well. We do have a number of important events coming up, and one of the ways to be engaged and support our students is to help attend those events. We've got this week the North Country Loggers Ceremony. We've got the Essex County, that's our conservation classes. We have the Essex County Senior Awards. Then we have our special education graduation on Friday at the Guild's Auditorium in SUNY Plattsburgh. That will be at 9 o'clock. And we have a student from Mineville, as well as 11 students from our Plattsburgh campus. So there'll be 12 students graduating, and many of them with Regis diplomas and so on and so forth. And some of those students have been with us for many years. So the board is welcome to attend. We'd love to have you participate. We also have our upcoming One WorkSource graduation, which will be here on the 15th. And then our 2 graduations. One it actually says the field house will be at the hockey arena for our Plattsburgh campus, and the Mineville graduation is going to be at the Mariah Auditorium. The board also received, and so we'd love to have board members attend if you're interested, and we'd love to recognize you at the events. So if you do plan on attending, please let Mrs. Rabideau know. Lastly, there are some state ed updates. We sent out the information about Dr. Catania, the retired superintendent from Lake Placid, who was just approved as the newest Board of Regents member and replacing Beverly Odeker, who had passed. We're excited with Dr. Catania, his support and service, and looking forward to working with him. He was a great superintendent, very engaged working with us in the Essex County collaboration with our health departments, but also a great superintendent in the region. He's met a number of students to us over the years. So we look forward to working with him. There are some highlights. He has highlights that the board can look at, which have the details from my last meeting. Some municipal and rural schools updates. And for a RSA update, we do have on the agenda this evening, Mrs. Lisa Boyce, as our rural schools representative. That's what the board is recommending, and Mr. St. Pierre is recommending for the rural schools zone for the North Country. And lastly, thank you to our board members who are retiring. For all of our other board members who will be continuing, we look forward to working with you moving forward with our next board meeting next July 13th at the Mineville campus. Okay, thank you.
Great, so we are ready to finish the meeting here with our minutes, the previous meeting, motion.
Second.
So, favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We'll do the consent agenda. Okay, through.
Second.
We have a second already. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Okay, no action on the old business committee. Consent agenda personnel. A through S.
Motion.
Second.
Lisa, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 15A, career and technical education certifications. Motion.
Second.
Lisa, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. New policy, second reading and adopted. New policy. Motion.
Second.
Mr. Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. No action on the revised policy. See, video conference resolution. We have motion.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Harriman, second, by Bruce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Go to F, employee benefit accrued liability reserve fund resolution.
Motion. Second.
Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. G, retirement contribution reserve fund resolution.
Second.
Murdoch, second by Mr. Harriman.
Mr. Chairman, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And H, rural school association election.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second. Mr. Harriman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Lisa, you have a new job.
Do I get a raise?
Yeah.
More peanut butter pie, right?
Thank you for doing that. That sounds like a pretty nice thing to be doing.
It's big shoes to fill, but.
We got about 99 pages of addendum.
Huh?
For
No,
me,
no.
that's a typo.
All right, so, yes, believe, you're up.
I guess. So I've got two here.
Okay,
One sheeter and a double sheeter.
three pages.
One sheet of like front and back.
It is. All right, I'm gonna start with the one front and back over here.
Oh,
Recommend the board award the bid for the Plattsburgh Satellite Campus annex furnace.
Second.
motion by Bruce, second, Mr. Harriman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right,
Recommend the board appoint Thomas Smith for civil service supervision appointment.
motion.
Second.
You get first, Bruce, first, second, Mr. Harriman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Recommend that the board approve the Foster as a temporary appointment.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second.
Second.
Lisa, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Recommend the board approve the additional work for Ms. Tallman for yearbook senior tech.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then resolve, for the back of the sheet, resolve that the board approves the total capital project cost increase.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Yes, sir.
Recommend the board approve the leave of absence.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Recommend the board approve the MOU.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Right. Recommend the board approve the other MOA between the and sports staff.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second.
Second.
Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Just for completeness, so the first one was acknowledging the purchasing payroll clerk, and the second was for acknowledging purchasing clerk to bargaining unit. All right. The next one is recommend the board approve the final salary adjustment for staff.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second.
I'll second.
Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
All right, the next one is recommend the board extend probationary appointment.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Recommend the board approve Ms. Reno as a lead of students or teacher of special assignment.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second.
Second.
Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Recommend that the board approve the employment agreement with Dr. Bowman.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The next one is recommend the board approve the salary and benefit package.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Murdoch, second, Mr. Harriman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the last one is, which says, be it resolved, Motion. Recommendation, the district superintendent, board of public education hereby continues the administrative leave of probationary employee.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Murdock, second by Mr. Harriman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Motion to go home. Mr. Harriman, second. All those in favor? Opposed? Nobody.
July 13th, huh?
Again, and Dylan.
Yes.
Hey, it's been great, thanks.
Crystal is on.
Pardon? Oh, just as an acknowledgement, Mr. Bell did note that our new dean of students, who is one of our special education teachers, was on. And so she did hear her approval.
Congratulations.
We look forward to working with you as a member of our administrative team and initially as a teaching staff is providing support as you transition into the next step. So, Ms. Rhino, we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Anything?
No, we're good, thank you.
That's just.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Well, Mr. McKay, thank you. Good night.
That's the way it works.
It's not, our meetings aren't normally this long, but.
We'll say it went pretty quick.
Pardon?
It went